I'm going to show you how I used AI to build this full stack mobile app for both iOS and Android in less than 10 minutes using AI and n8n. So we can scan a receipt, which is then sent over to our AI agent, which pulls all of the information out of the receipt, including the category and the total cost, and then it logs that in our backend Google Sheet using n8n. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in this tutorial. So without further ado, let's get started. So go onto Google and type in bolt.new. This is what we're going to be using to create the app. Bolt.new allows you to make full stack web and mobile apps. So the mobile app technology that they use is called React Native. So I've got a prompt here that I'm just going to paste into Bolt. So the task is to build an application in Expo and React Native, which allows a business owner to take pictures of their receipts. And once a picture has been taken, give the user the ability to click submit on that picture. And when a user clicks submit, I want you to send a post request to an n8n automation. Now, if you don't know what a HTTP post request is, then I highly suggest that you check out my Skool community, which goes through all of the little details that you need to know to be able to develop full stack no code applications. So back to the prompt, then depending on the result of that n8n automation, I want you to display success or failed. Also, I want the screen to redirect to the history tab after the receipt has been submitted. When submitting the photo in the API, I want you to only transmit the image, and the image should be accessible in the n8n automation by accessing the body under the image property, so that we can decode it. I want you to convert the file into a base 64 string. So I just submitted the prompt. It can take a while for Bolt to do its job, but as soon as it's done, I'll get back to you. Okay, so it seems like we've got the first preview of our app, and it's just building in the browser. We should be able to preview it from the browser too, but if you'd like to preview it from the Expo application on your phone, you can also do that. And we've got a potential problem detected. We've got a few terminal errors, unable to resolve Expo router, and the same thing. So let's attempt a fix and see if it can solve the problem on its own. Let's just restart everything. Okay, so now we've got this preview, and click grant permission, and let's just allow this to use the app. So let's just attempt that fix. Okay, so this is really cool. So a preview of the app has popped up. Let's just pretend that I'm a receipt for now, and let's take a picture and let's submit this. And the submission has of course failed because our n8n backend is not running yet. The reason why the submission has failed, we can see, is it failed to fetch. So what I believe is happening is calling a bogus API route. So there we go. The API route that is calling is just a placeholder for now. So now I'm going to test the app with an image of my face. So let's take a picture. I mean, I'm not a receipt, but let's just test it out anyways. And let's hop over to our n8n automation and click test workflow. So now the webhook is waiting for an event, and as soon as we click submit, we'll see that the receipt was submitted successfully and the workflow begins to execute. So here we can see that the data actually wasn't written, and if we go to this if statement over here, the reason is because the image contains a person, not a receipt. And so this automation will only log images which have valid receipts in them. So now we can try it with an actual receipt. And to do that, I'm going to go back and go on to device preview. And I'm going to go onto my iPhone here and actually load up the Expo application that you can download on the iOS or Android store and preview the app on your phone instead. So I'm just going to scan this QR code. So now I'm using my camera to scan this QR code, which has loaded the Expo application up. So now I've got a receipt on my desk. I've just redacted my card information, and it's pretty scrunched up. It's difficult to read, which will be a good test for the automation. I'm going to take a picture of the receipt from my phone, and then I'm going to head over to n8n and just discard the previous run and test the workflow again. And now as soon as I click submit, so just watch the screen now, as soon as I click submit, we'll see that fires successfully, and it's detected that it's found a receipt in the image and has quantified all of the information correctly. So this indeed was a fuel receipt. I was just putting some petrol in my car, and the total was indeed £37.77. And if we take a look at the image that was taken from the app, that was the exact image that I just took, and you can see it's really difficult to read. Everything is all scrunched up, but I still managed to do a really good job, which is awesome. So now let's go through how exactly this automation works. So we start off with the webhook receive node over here, and let's just pin this data so that we don't lose it. So we accept a post request, and our application on the backend in the API route sends over a base 64 version of the image that we took from our phone or device. After this, we head over to a code node which generates a UID, a unique ID for the receipt. And so this is just a little bit of JavaScript code which generates a random sequence of characters. In this case, the ID for the receipt is this string here. Next, we just use a set node so as to extract the base64 URL, and we just set that field to be the data field and output that as a data field here. We need that because we convert that base64 string straight into an image. So it converts that string into an image and then uploads that image into the Google Drive. So over here, the file name for the image that we upload into Google Drive is going to be receipt underscore the unique ID that we generated. So once the receipt has been uploaded, it's now time to analyze the receipt using the Gemini API. So you will need an API key obviously to use this service, and the API key is inserted in the end here as a query parameter. And you can get this API key by just heading over to aistudio.google.com, and in the top right just click Get API Key, and then just click Create API Key, and then select your Google Cloud project and then just click Create. And then you should get a little row in this table here, and then you can just copy that over and place it into this URL here. Over here we're sending the correct headers, and now let's take a closer look at the JSON body. So here's the system prompt. You are a AI agent that extracts structured information from a picture of a receipt. So the objective of the AI agent is to categorize the receipt into one or more of the following categories. Now we list our categories out, and in the end we say extract the total amount shown on the receipt and return a success flag. So if a receipt was found in the image, we want to return success as true. Otherwise, if there's no receipt in the image, just like in the case where I sent a picture of my face instead, we want it to output success as false. Analyze the following image and provide the output in the specified JSON format. And so we specify the output format right over here. So basically what we're saying is we want to return an object, and that object has firstly a property called total. The type of that property is a number, and a brief description of it is that it's the total amount shown on the receipt. If there is no total amount, then it should be null, or it should also be null in the case that a receipt isn't found. Next, we have our array of categories and just a textual description for the LLM. A list of categories the receipt belongs to can be empty if success is false. Then we want to return a Boolean, which is success, and it's true if the receipt was found and passed, and false otherwise. And lastly, the status message. So it's a message indicating success or failure or any relevant observation. And we make the success property and the message property required. So we'll always get those properties regardless of whatever happens. And so by constraining the output of this LLM to this format, we can structure our n8n workflow to predictably handle all edge cases just in case anything goes wrong or unexpected. Let's head back over to the workflow. So that was an explanation of the body of the HTTP request, and what we get as a result is the exact JSON that we specified in the output structure in the prompt. So in this case, the message was the receipt was found and passed successfully. Success in this case is true, and it gave us an array of categories as well as the total amount from the receipt. In the next node, we're using a code node so as to convert this raw string into actual JSON. And then we check whether or not the success flag from the previous node was true or false. If it was false, meaning that the receipt wasn't found in the image or anything else went wrong, then we don't want to update our Google Sheet. Otherwise, if the operation was successful, we want to write all of that data using a Google Sheet node by creating a new row in the Google Sheet with the receipt ID, the date that the receipt was uploaded and passed, the receipt image URL, which we got from the previous upload to Google Drive node, the amount that was detected from the LLM, as well as the categories that were detected by the LLM too. And that's it. So if we check our Google Sheet now, we can see everything that we just went through. So here's the receipt ID. Here's a image of the receipt for our reference, just in case we want to go through it again. Here is the total that was detected from the receipt. So £37.77. And just to confirm, on the receipt, it was indeed £37.77. And we get the categories that the LLM classified this receipt as. So food and groceries and travel and transport. So you can see how powerful these AI agents have become. So we can build this entire app from scratch using something like Bolt and then incorporate some really complex functionality using Google's AI Studio and Gemini APIs. So you can now deploy this instantly. So just by heading over to the top right, you can just click Deploy to Web. and that will deploy a web app version of this mobile app hosted on Netlify for free. So you can show your friends or family, or you could use it as an MVP to show to investors or to a client or a business, or you could even just deploy it to the App Store. So hitting deploy to App Store will just give you all of the instructions that you need so as to do that. And using the Expo or EAS ecosystem makes it super easy to do so. All you need to really do is create a developer account, and EAS manages the rest of it for you. It's just about entering a few commands and you're done. This build was definitely just the tip of the iceberg. You can see that with just a single prompt, I was able to make this entire application and connect it to my n8n backend. And I was able to speak to Bolt as though I was speaking to an actual developer who was working for me. So if you'd like to see more content and perhaps a more sophisticated application, maybe where we connect our data to a Supabase or a Firebase backend, definitely do let me know in the comments and I'll be happy and glad to do so. If you did enjoy this video, check out my Skool community where I post a bunch of resources, live videos, mentorship, and pretty much everything you need to know to get started with no-code solutions, either for your clients, for freelancing, or for your own business. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next one.